You know what? Put the rulebook down. I know, you just cracked open a brand new game and your first instinct was to start reading. But here's the thing, you've got me and I've already read it. So just tear it to pieces and throw it away. I'm Ryan from How I Roll, and in this Rip Up the Rules, I'm going to teach you how to set up and play FlipToons Season 2 so you can assemble the most fame-generating cast of cartoon characters this side of primetime. Now, before we dive in, if you're a FlipToons fan, you already know the deal. FlipToons Season 2 is a sequel, and it plays essentially the same as regular FlipToons. There are some tweaks here and there, mostly driven by new cards and new effects, but I'm going to teach Season 2 today completely from scratch so everyone's on the same page, veterans and newcomers alike. But also, Season 2 comes with a variant where you can combine both games into one big game, which I'll explain at the end, so stick around for that. FlipToons Season 2 is designed by Jordy, Adan, and Renato Simões and published by Thunderworks Games, who helped sponsor this video. It plays 1 to 4 players and it takes about 20 or so minutes to play. Before we dive in, please take a second to hit like and subscribe so we can keep rolling through more videos together. But for now, let's unleash this zoo of a game on the table and find out how to play it. Are you feeling conflicted between your life goals of being a zookeeper and also a hotshot talent agent? No problem. In FlipToons Season 2, the freshest cartoon stars are out there waiting to be discovered, and it's your job to find them, build the best cast you can, and earn the Critics' Choice Award, all in the name of amassing more fame than your rival studios. Think you've got what it takes to outcast the competition and become even more famous than Taylor Swift? Let's find out. Here's how you set up the game. Give each player a reference card and a fame card, as well as a deck of 6 starting cards, which includes 2 mosquitoes, 1 spider, 1 grasshopper, 1 ladybug, and 1 firefly. Return any remaining reference, fame, and starting cards to the game box. Place the 5 price cards in the center of the table in ascending order from left to right: 3, 4, 7, 10, and 15. If you're playing with 1 or 2 players, flip the 3 and 15 price cards so the X side is face up. Next, shuffle all the Toon cards and place them face down in a pile nearby to form the Toon deck. Then reveal the top 5 cards from this deck one at a time and place them below the price cards to create the market. Rearrange these cards so they're sorted by rank, lowest on the left under the 3 card, highest on the right under the 15 card. Place the Critics' Choice card face up near the Toon deck. And that's it. You're set up and ready to play. Take the first player card and give it to the player who most recently watched a cartoon, and it's time to get this show rolling. FlipToons Season 2 is played over a series of rounds, and each round has 4 phases that everyone moves through together. These are flip, check fame, market, and cleanup. This game is pretty smooth sailing. Let me break down each of these for you now, beginning with phase 1, flip. Everyone does the flip phase simultaneously. No waiting around. First, each player shuffles their deck face down. Then they reveal cards from the top of their deck one at a time and places them into 2 rows of 3 cards each, filling left to right, beginning with the top row and then moving to the bottom row like this. You keep flipping until all 6 slots in your grid are filled. If you run out of cards before filling all 6 slots, you just place as many as you can and the remaining slots stay empty. And that's the flip phase. Easy. Now, at the beginning of the game, you only have 6 cards with no big abilities, so you'll simply put all of your cards out in whatever order they appear. However, as you add more cards to your deck, you'll eventually add cards that have effects that trigger during the flip phase. Most of them are fairly straightforward, but here's a rundown of some of the main ones. We start with this big old gorilla, and it says that if it's in the top row, then the next place card goes above it outside of the grid. So the goldfish would go here. The next card is the swordfish, which says that it flips the previously placed card and the next place card unless it has this icon. Well, the goldfish card does have that icon, so it stays as is. Let's check out what happens with the next card. This one doesn't have that icon, so it flips face down and will have no effect during the next phase. The next card is the rat, which says that it stacks on top of the previously placed card, so it goes just like that. This rhinoceros has no effect when it's placed, so it goes right there. Now this coyote says that you return the previously placed card unless it has this icon, which the rhinoceros doesn't. Whenever a card says to return a card, it simply means that you flip it face down and you place it back at the bottom of the deck and you continue drawing. Now the coyote says that it takes the place of the returned card, so it'll go right there. The next card is a grasshopper. No effect at all. And finally, we have the hen, who also doesn't have a when placed effect, and so this is what our grid would look like at the end of this phase. In the rare occasions where more than one card activates at the same time, just resolve them in the order they were flipped. Now that you've got a confluence of creatures in front of you, it's time for phase 2 check fame, which happens simultaneously as well. Everyone simultaneously looks at their grid and counts up how much fame they've generated based on the cards they've flipped. Each Toon card has a fame value printed on it, but some cards generate fame based on what else is in your grid or deck. So you'll want to read each of these carefully before you total things up. Once you've got your number, you mark it on your fame card by overlaying your reference card on it so the arrow points to your total. You can flip each of these cards over as necessary to mark higher values. Let me show you a few examples of how fame could be calculated so you get a sense of how this goes down. Here I have 2, 6, 9, 10, plus 1 per every fish icon including itself, so 11, 12. 13 plus 1 per card above that. That's 3 cards, putting me up to 16, 19, 20, plus 1 per every card below it. Unfortunately, there aren't any below it, so that puts me up to a grand total of 20 fame. And in this situation, I have 0 plus 2, plus I get another 4 or 5, at least 3 cards in my deck. I do, so that puts me up to 6, 7, plus 1 for any cards above this. Unfortunately, that's nothing. Another 0 keeps me at 7, 8, 10. However, this Firefly says that if I have the least out of all of my friends during this round, which I do, I get an extra 2. So this puts me up to a grand total of 12 fame. And this epic flip gives me 4, 6, 7, 10, plus 2 if adjacent to another fish card. It is, so 12. This gives me 0, but it gives me plus 2 per card in my deck, which gives me 8 because I have 4, which is amazing. So I'm up to 20, 23, plus 3 if there's a hen or a rooster in the market or any player's grid. Unfortunately, this time there isn't. 24, 25, plus 1 per fish icon, 26, 27, 28. An amazing flip, so I turn this over and I put this down to here to show that I got 28 fame. It's important to note that your fame amount is locked in for the rest of the round and no shifts in the market, your grid, or anything else can change it. Now, if any player generated at least 30 fame this check fame phase, the end of the game is triggered. But hold your horses, because we'll come back to that in just a bit after we finish walking through the rest of the phases. Speaking of which, it's time for phase 3, market. This phase is not played simultaneously. Starting with the first player and going clockwise, each player spends their fame to take up to 2 market actions. You can do the same action twice, both actions once each, or skip one or both. It's totally up to you. But you probably don't want to skip both very often because generally in games, doing stuff is a good idea. The 2 actions you can choose from are hire a Toon and dismiss a Toon. Hiring a Toon is where you get hot new stars to join your cast, like back in the day when Home Improvement landed Jonathan Taylor Thomas. But the bigger the star, the higher the cost. To hire a Toon, pick any Toon card in the market and pay fame equal to the cost shown on the price card directly above it. So a card under the 7 costs 7 fame. Take the hired Toon and add it to the top of your deck of unrevealed cards. Now, creating an all-star lineup isn't only about hiring the right characters, but also about knowing when an actor's career has run its course. I mean, have you seen JTT in a movie recently? To dismiss a Toon, choose one face-up Toon card in your own grid and pay 5 fame to dismiss it. A dismiss card is permanently removed from your deck and goes face-up in your dismiss pile next to your play area and will never be shuffled back in. A few important rules on dismissing. Cards that are face down in your grid or still in your deck can't be dismissed. Only face-up cards in your revealed grid. Also, unless a card ability says otherwise, you can only dismiss cards from your own grid. You can't dismiss a Toon if you have fewer than 4 cards between your deck and your grid combined. You need to keep a minimum hand size. And again, your fame level doesn't change, so dismissing a Toon won't lower it. And lastly, one of your Toons slapping another across the face at the Oscars is grounds for instant dismissal. Okay, that last one isn't actually in the game. Once a player finishes their actions in the market phase, if there are fewer than 5 Toon cards in the market, reveal cards from the Toon deck one at a time until 5 are available and rearrange them by rank with the lowest on the left and the highest on the right. Remember that any special abilities on cards that contradict any of the base rules I'm teaching you take precedence and should be followed. Here's an example of how your turn might shake out during the market phase. I'm beginning this market phase with 21 fame, so I could afford this big cost 15 card. This sloth looks pretty awesome, so I'm gonna hire it and place that card on top of my deck right here. Since I have 6 left, I could afford to hire this rat or this mole, but I really need to dismiss more of my starter cards. This spider card isn't very good, so I'm gonna spend 5 to dismiss that, and that concludes my market phase since that was 2 actions. I refill the market and the next player takes their turn. Once all players have completed their turn in the market phase, it's time to move on to phase 4, cleanup. Everyone simultaneously collects the cards in their grid and adds them back into their deck. That's it. Your grid is cleared, your deck is refreshed, and you're ready to flip again. If you're playing with only 1 or 2 players, you'll also need to discard the leftmost and rightmost cards signified by this X icon and refill the market, rearranging as necessary. If no one generated 30 fame or more and triggered the end of the game, pass the first player card 1 player clockwise and start a new round. Continue playing rounds like this until one of the end game conditions is met, and then proceed to the final flip, which I'll explain in a moment. The game end can be triggered in 2 ways. First of all, if the Toon deck ever runs out, continue playing the game with however many cards remain in the market. If the market also runs out of cards, proceed immediately to the final flip. Or, as I mentioned earlier, if any player generates at least 30 fame during the check fame phase, the player who has the most fame immediately takes the Critics' Choice Award. But if there's a tie for the highest amount, discard the Critics' Choice card from the game. With this endgame trigger, you finish the entire round, and after cleanup, you go to the final flip. In the illustrious final flip, all players complete the first 2 phases, which are flip and check fame one last time. If a player has the Critics' Choice card, they add +3 fame to their total during this final check fame phase. The player who has generated the most fame on the final flip has assembled the best cast of characters and wins the game, and will forever go down as the Steven Spielberg of board gaming, while the other players will be lucky just to play extras in daytime television commercials. And if there's a tie, the tied players collect all the cards in their grids and decks, shuffle everything together, flip again, and do 1 more check fame phase. Tied players repeat this process as many times as needed until someone pulls ahead. If that doesn't sound exciting enough for you crazy party animals, as I mentioned before, you can combine FlipToons and FlipToons Season 2 into one big game that can support up to 8 players, and here's how it works. During setup, instead of everyone getting the same starting deck, randomly give each player a full deck of 6 starting cards from either game. The FlipToons starting cards are 2 caterpillars, 1 skunk, 1 dragonfly, 1 bee, and 1 snail. The FlipToons Season 2 starting cards are 2 mosquitoes, 1 spider, 1 grasshopper, 1 ladybug, and 1 firefly. Return all unused cards to their respective boxes. And when setting up the price cards, place the 5 price cards from FlipToons in the center of the table in ascending order: 3, 4, 7, 10, and 15. Then from FlipToons Season 2, add the 3 to the left of these and the 15 to the right like this. If you're playing with 4 or fewer players, flip these 2 cards so the X side is facing up. This signals that during the cleanup phase, you'll remove the cards from beneath these cards and then refill the market. Form the Toon deck by shuffling the Toon cards from both FlipToons and FlipToons Season 2 together into one big Toon deck. Put it face down. And then reveal the top 7 cards from the combined Toon deck one at a time to create the market and sort them by rank. Since it will now be possible to have different cards with a shared rank in the market, when a new card is flipped that has the same rank as another card in the market, simply place it to the right of the rightmost card with that rank. Other than those small adjustments, the game plays exactly the same. And that's FlipToons Season 2 and epic combined FlipToons without a rulebook in sight. There's also a solo mode for this game, which if you still have the rulebook kicking around is outlined right here. I hope you have an incredible time playing this game and that this video helps you dive right in. If you've got questions, drop a comment below and you'll hear right back from me. I've linked the Board Game Geek page for FlipToons Season 2 in the description below, along with the Thunderworks game website where you can learn even more about this game. Thanks so much for watching another Rip Up the Rules. Now get out there, find your cast, and make this season a hit.